some updates on the Fani Willis situation. Will, there was some sort of statement made. And of course, that statement is mapped with threats and so on.
Right, and I think we should play it right off the bat here so we can get Jordan's take on it as well. This is, as we know, that the Judge McAfee, gave a certificate of immediate review to the defendants that requested it, and when they cited that the court found an appearance of impropriety and an odor of mendacity lingered in the case, and they were using the judge's own words there. But CNN caught up with Fani Willis at an event, and when they asked her about how the case is moving forward, this was her response.
No, my team's been continuing to work, and I think the media, and especially organizations like your own, have been paying attention. All while that was going on, we were writing responsive briefs. We were still doing the case in the way that it needed to be done. I don't feel like we've been slowed down at all. I do think that there are efforts to slow down this train, but the train is coming.
Yeah, the train is coming if President Trump doesn't win on appeal at the appellate court and then the Georgia Supreme Court. So that train has a lot of steps to go through before it even starts back on the tracks. And Logan, I really do believe there is a good chance, not 100%, a good chance that ultimately Fani Willis does not become the DA and her whole department gets thrown out of this case. Now, you never know what courts are going to do, but these Georgia courts, we've already had her head attorney she specifically chose to handle the most complex part of this case tossed out because of what Will said, the impropriety and the odor. And guess what? We all know this. As long as Fani Willis is conducting this case, Logan, the odor is getting stronger and stinkier. And just listen to that statement again, and it reeks of someone who needs to be taken out.
Maybe you can lead people through what that process is when you say there's a good chance that she won't be doing it. I think we should talk about what that looks like, how that could even happen. I think our audience probably thinks we are too far gone into that being even an option, but maybe you can build that case for us.
So President Trump's legal team, as well as outside legal organizations like ours, can file briefs because you're allowed to appeal the decision by the trial court judge. The trial court judge who did say that the special counsel Fani Willis brought in, the boyfriend or whatever we want to call him, he had to go because of the impropriety and the odor, but that Fani Willis and her office were still okay, which doesn't make any logical sense. So you're allowed to appeal that to the Court of Appeals. You have 10 days from the order. So next week, I think, is when we'll be filing our brief alongside President Trump's team supporting the removal of Fani Willis for just all of those facts that we've considered, that taking the special counsel out who caused this entire problem for Fani Willis is not enough. Again, the issues of impropriety, the odor that this is not right and that this trial is politically motivated, the money surrounding it, the almost $800,000 he received, that this is wrong. You can't halfway correct the problem. That's what the judge did. And I think he was nervous about taking a DA out who he has to work with all the time. So now it goes to a court of appeals. They're not nervous about taking Fani Willis out. That has nothing to do with her. They don't regularly interact with her the same way. So you go to the Georgia Court of Appeals, and if you don't win there, you can still go to the Georgia Supreme Court. So for her to think that the trains are rolling, absolutely not. But I want everyone to understand the ACLJ is going to be involved in each part of these steps to try and attempt, and we believe we're right, but we've got to convince the judges and maybe ultimately the justices of the Georgia Supreme Court that we're right, that Fani Willis has to go if the special counsel had to go to correct this problem. And if she goes, the entire DA's office goes, and a new DA gets appointed, and I don't think this case ever gets restarted again for any of the defendants, including, of course, President Trump.
And Jordan, I want to get your take on another bite that came out of DA Fani Willis over when she spoke with CNN. And I want to give the context once again for the audience to make sure that when they hear this soundbite, what the context of what reality is. Because remember, the judge found an appearance of impropriety. He found an odor of mendacity, which is an odor of lies that continued to linger in the case, as well as the speech she gave in the church while all this is going on, he said was legally improper. So that's the context of the reality we're living in when she gives this bite 21 to CNN. Let's take a listen.
I don't feel like my reputation needs to be reclaimed. Let's say it for the record. I'm not embarrassed by anything I've done. I guess my greatest crime is I had a relationship with a man, but that's not something that I find embarrassing in any way. And I know that I have not done anything that's illegal.
Jordan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this idea, again, that I don't feel like my reputation needs to be reclaimed. Listen, you had your specially chosen RICO specialist who had no expertise in RICO, who happened to be at least someone you were dating, if not an official boyfriend, and you paid him almost $800,000, and he had never done a case like this in his life. So you took $800,000 from the taxpayers of Georgia and Fulton County, and by the way, federal taxpayers, because these DA offices get your federal tax dollars too, so all of us, whether you live in Georgia or not. And if that happens, guess what? You've still got issues surrounding you, and that's why it's going to be appealed. If there were no issues that were significant surrounding her, none of these attorneys would file these appeals. You just want to move on because you'd think, you know what, we're going to have to go up against Fani Willis. If we really think we're going to 100% lose these appeals, we just need to drop this and move on and fight hard against her. But because the judge went halfway, the Court of Appeals, I think, is going to say, how can you do that? How can you say this guy that isn't really an official, elected official, by taking him out, somehow changes the fact that the decision maker, Fani Willis, has now been cleansed? Absolutely not. She needs to go. The ACLJ believes that. You'll see it in our briefs, and that's why we want your support. I mean, Logan, it's a critical time to support the ACLJ because we're going to be in this battle to get Fani Willis off this case legitimately. She did this. It's not just because she's a Democrat prosecutor and we don't like that she's prosecuting Republicans or President Trump. She's done something wrong in the system of law. And to preserve our legal system, equal justice under law, we have to remove the bad actors from the government. She's one of those bad actors, and the ACLJ is going to fight it at the Court of Appeals and the Georgia Supreme Court and anywhere else we need to go. And we're going to need your resources to do it. You donate right now at aclj.org, and you double your impact through our Life and Liberty Challenge. And if you can make a monthly recurring contribution at aclj.org, be at the tip of the spear. Make that contribution today, because I'm telling you, folks, we're right on the edge of getting this case, I wouldn't say dismissed, but I'd say finished.
Yeah, there's nothing I would like more than to never say the words Fani Willis again, specifically on this broadcast. I feel like it is like the odor of mendacity that is a part of it, but it's also, it is part of the breaking news story. It is part of the election season. What's happening, we can't not cover it. But if this could be headed towards the end, I think it'd be better for the country. It'd be better for all of us.